So many of you liked my previous video, but you said it's not lazy enough. You're so lazy that you don't even want to move. You just want to stand on a plank and be propelled forward. I got you. Oof, these intros are getting worse and worse. Anyways, this week's video, we want to go even a step lazier than we did previously. We don't want to come up with our own shapes. We want as much inspiration from out there. Maybe even just take shapes and halfway copy them. So to do that, we want to get inspired first by somebody who's really good at getting inspiration, not just by shapes, but by everyday object, who turns everyday objects into fantastic shapes. And for that, let's take a look at Space Goose. Here we can see his Instagram. And you probably are familiar with his stuff. Here is, for example, a toaster that he turned into a very cool carrier. And he has dozens of these really cool things. Well, this is not a spaceship, but a bike light he turned into a Mac. Here, a lipstick into a very cool cat-themed spaceship. So he has a lot of these. Come on, this is genius. So we're not going to be disingenuous at all. We are going to be way more lazy. Alright, so first inspiration. Alright, so first inspiration. Let me go back to here. We can take away Space Goose. And I already looked up a couple of things that I want to do. I really like the bridges of these big aircraft carriers. So we're just gonna plop this in here. Okay, next one. I want a tanker ship, and I've been looking around for different images, but I think this will work best for us. So just copy the image, paste it in here. And of course, what we're doing is just, we're gonna try and stick these together. But actually what I want to do, I also want to isolate this. So I'm just gonna take my selection tool, and I am working in an old version of Sketchbook Pro. But you can do this with every drawing app. Just select, invert your selection, and delete everything around it. Same here. I'm just going to select the parts that I need, in which case it is only this surface of the ship, because I just want some detail for the tanker, because yeah, I didn't talk about it, but I just want to draw sort of a tanker spaceship sort of thing. So I turn that around. I'm going to mirror the layer. Put this here and just rotate this a little bit. There we go. So as you can see, I imagine if I draw some ship like this with a cockpit bridge there, and then big engines there, and then coming something like this, and then this will show that it's sort of a tanker ship. And what we are going to do here is basically similar to photo bashing, but I'm not bashing photos together. I'm drawing over them. Now I want a jet engine. I prepared this one, of course. So this goes with a lot of searching, but I thought, since in the previous video we did the searching part, I thought in this video I might just skip that. I want this to be underneath this. I think this, something like that. What you have to watch when you do something like this, you will probably have to adjust the perspective of these images that you paste in. So yeah, watch out for that. Then I have this is just tech design for the side, and for the side of my ship. I'm just gonna copy this image, paste it in here, and it will flow somewhere here on the side. So what I did before is I was looking around what are like relatively good looking tech pieces or military equipment, stuff like that. And I like this. It looks like a mobile radar unit. What I am going to do is just flip it vertically, because then it aligns a little bit better when it comes to perspective. I'll make sure to pop it in under that thing there. There we go. And then maybe the engine can go over it, or maybe not. I'll see what I do there. Okay, and then I want something for the front, and I was looking at these German U-boats. I really like this front part of it. I'm just gonna copy this, paste it in here, make it somewhat bigger, also flip it, bring it over here. See, and I wanna just put it in there, a little bit something like that. And I think this is looking pretty good. Now I'm just gonna lasso tool away the parts that I don't need /line, like that. And I left that wiring because I think I will connect it because I like how that looks. Now we just put all of this into one group, and I bring down the opacity a little bit, and now that's it. Now the fun starts of drawing over these. So here I will probably speed up here and there because there's not much explanation that you need from me. Just make a layer over this and then just loosely start having fun. You can copy or not copy these as much as you want. Now keep in mind, these pictures, I don't have the right to use them in a commercial sense. So this is educational material, and in this case I just want to use this as inspiration. If you would want to use these to make money, like working actual concept art, you have to look out for the legalities of this, because of course people took these pictures, they spent their time, money, everything invested into cameras, flew out there, so you just don't know what the rights are with these pictures. So make sure, if you want to do something like this and make money off of it, not to just Google. Make sure that you have rights, that you're allowed to use these sort of images. Okay, and with that, while I copy this thing, let's jump ahead to the next section. I'm not gonna go in too much into detail just yet because I will have to adjust my perspective here and there, and I want to make sure that happens. Even while I started drawing, I'm just going to adjust a little bit on the fly to make sure that my perspective will be right. Of course, it won't be 100%, but I want it to be as on the spot as possible. What I like to do is turn the background on and off, because like that you also see your perspective a little bit more, and then you can adjust on the fly and also adjust your shape. Another thing that's important to keep in mind, we have size differences. So what I would say, let's say size A is these two are pretty much in the same sort of size comparison. Our U-boat is small, slightly smaller, so I would say that's a size B. And then this thing, this would be not even a C, I would go even a size lower. So this would be a D, and this is probably also a D. So now what you have to watch out for is not to take all the detail from here, because the detail here is going to be bigger than the detail there. So once you established what is your biggest unit, that is the furthest away from you, you should try and follow that one when it comes to detailing. Otherwise, what can happen is that here you would have maybe bolts that are this big, but here on this part of the ship you can't even see those bolts. So you want to make sure not to draw those bolts or to turn them into something else. Hey, a quick word from our sponsor of this video, which is me. I did a previous version of this video which I sort of scrapped, and as you can see, this was the outcome, this ship. If you want to see the process and also me talking and just technically the same approach but a different drawing, take a look at it. It is a good way to support me if you want to, of course. And that's it from the sponsor. Continue enjoying the video. Now looking at this, the jet engine seems just a bit too big for me. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to just squeeze the back of it to get a bit more perspective out of it. Something like that. And we don't have a lot of stuff in between the jet. Like this area is a bit empty. So I will have to come up there with something of my own. We could look for some more details, but at some point you also have to put in some effort and come up with your own details. You can't steal everything. Of course, you can, but the whole idea of stealing these things is that you are building up visual reference. because now that I'm drawing this, I will know, oh wait, if I ever need sort of like a circular design for a spaceship, I will remember this sort of shape. And I will not remember it perfectly, and I will adjust it to whatever I need in that moment. And that way, you're also not, the whole idea is that, yeah, I do call it stealing, cheekily enough, but I do not consider it stealing, because I think you are just building your visual library if you do a lot of these. So I would not be too concerned about those harsh words right now. Here you have to watch out. I did try to bend this so it's a little bit more in perspective, but it is not completely in perspective. So when you're copying, in this case I'm just using this outer shape, and here I'm adjusting so it is in a perspective that I need or I want to use. What I was talking about before, like I like using these sort of shapes, but these are usually, humans are this size or this size or this size when we look at shapes like this. Maybe you can be a bit smaller human that can be bigger. But at this point a human would be maybe a dot big. Let's look at let's say a human is this big, if it fits into that bridge. Now if I bring that human here, imagine how hard it is to manufacture a giant steel plate that is this big and has also this indentation in it, right? So, which means that you have to have a giant factory where giant machines are putting these things together. Sure, we could have that in the future, but right now this is a little bit unbelievable, so you want to step away, if possible, from that sort of design detail in this case. You can split it into more. If you necessarily want to use that, you can split it into 2s, 4s, and then this is a bit more believable, and then here you can sort of follow the lines and just come up with a slightly different design. Turn off your follow, there we go. That's slightly more believable, even this one size-wise. I'm not 100% with it just yet, but it is at least more believable than what we had there before. And as I said, we're back to this part that I didn't really draw out before, I just let it empty. So here you can have a little bit of playing around, maybe make a new layer for yourself before I start drawing in there. Let's just create a new layer. And then there you can play around a little bit, see what sort of connection would make the most sense for you, or actually would make the most sense for whatever you have drawn here. Let's take away that stuff, because now it's mostly bothering you. Now you want to see the lines, and you want to be able to come up with your own design in this case. What's nice, what I like, is always not symmetry, so asymmetry. So I like to offset my wings a little bit, move one back, the other forward, make sure that they're still in perspective. So here I have perspective lines set up, so I'm just going to try and follow those. I'm going to try and follow those down there. And now that we have a pretty good shape, I'm pretty satisfied with this. I'm going to detail it, so I'm just going to zoom in here and just continue adding cross-hatching, as shadows, just taking some of these detail pieces that we can see here that actually I think will work quite nicely, and just make areas darker and lighter. And that is the main thing that we're doing from this point on. And don't forget to sometimes still change some of these details that you see here. Don't follow them fully, just because, again, you want it to be your design as well. As much as I am a big proponent of being lazy and getting inspiration, it is also quite good to come up with your own stuff every now and then. And I think the crown jewel, that's a little bit too much saying, but I think the main focus of this ship should be this tanker area. So probably not everybody, but a lot of people will recognize at least elements like, oh, okay, that looks somewhat familiar, all those little details. And they will think of like, oh yeah, pipes, tanker. So it will sort of communicate exactly what we wanted to communicate, that this is one giant sort of tanker ship that is going through across the galaxy, transporting some sort of liquid material that is needed somewhere. So again, I do want to have a couple of darker areas, so every here and there I did a couple of cross-hatching. I think that can be filled with just pure black as well, just because we want to raise the contrast a little bit here and there. We want the eye to notice things. And in general, I am somebody who is afraid of using contrast, so it's good to come back towards the end and see what we can do with these contrasts, especially since I like these sort of industrial building construction material looking things. So then why not just go full, give it a little bit of 3D-ness, and then just fill in the areas with black that we can't look in there anyways, because we're out in space, there's no ambient inclusion, and many other reasons. And then we bring a little bit of cross-hatching back here that we think we don't need a lot of detail there, that should be in shadow. Same here, this area can be in shadow. One thing that I noticed now, we do want this engine to pop a little bit, so make sure to add a couple of thicker lines there. But with that, sort of this is our ship. Oh no, one thing that I forgot, as I said, I wanted to keep this sort of line here because I thought it was looking relatively good, and I'll just add another connection point, there. And look, this is the final result. Is it terribly original? No. Does it look like it was put together out of different things? Yes-ish, but it helped you at least get a ship out, you know, like you didn't have to think too much, you have the ship out, now you can move on to the next one. So these lazy sort of tricks are always there for you to get rolling, and after that you can start bringing more creativity in and use this as an underlay, build on this. You can do a lot of things with it, but hopefully you have learned something from it, and hopefully this will take you further on. If you like the video, you know, like, unlike, all those things. I would love to hear what you think about this. Leave your questions, opinions in the description down below. But as always, the most important thing is that you folks have a great time. Keep on sketching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye!